Hey everybody, it's Derek here, Twisted Throttle, standing with our BMW S1000RR. We've got this thing equipped with everything from windscreens to luggage to crash protection. They're easy bolt-on accessories and you'll love them. Now, first thing we want to do when we're setting up a demo bike, especially one like this, we want to talk about crash protection. And if we're doing a late model, really nice sport bike, we want to put high quality stuff on it. So what we want to do is, any slider, crash protection we're putting on, we want to make sure it's of a good composite nylon that's low friction. Because if the bike does go over and it does start sliding across the pavement, we don't want it to grab traction and start flipping and tumbling. We want it to slide nice and smooth to a stop. So we'll get into all the individual pieces and everything else on this bike. So the first and most important piece of crash protection we want to put on our sport bike is a frame slider just like this one from SW Motec. If you notice, it's got that composite nylon low friction slider here on the outside that we talked about, and it's held on by high strength grade 10 hardware. What's really nice about this Motec frame slider is that if we drop the bike, if we low side, and this slider here gets chewed up or scratched up at all, rather than having to replace the whole kit, we can replace just this puck. And if you notice, the Motec frame slider has a great design as far as looks go. It's really sleek, it's aerodynamic, it matches the lines of the bike really, really well. We also carry another brand called R&G, and just like the SW Motec frame slider, it's got a great look to it. It's really low profile, it's sleek. Gone are the days of those frame sliders that look like hockey pucks stacked on and sticking out the side of the bike. What's nice about these is, just like the Motecs, really strong hardware, really low friction slider. It also features this crush sleeve right here. And what this does is this offers some impact protection, some crumple zone, if you will, if the bike's dropped or tipped over. Now, the hardware is a real high tensile rather than something brittle that might break or snap off. This is more likely to bend and give, causing less damage and still keeping the slider on the bike. Now, when the bike goes down, obviously it's going to hit this frame slider right here, but it's not going to be the only thing it contacts. We're also going to hit other things on the bike. Up front, we're going to hit the front axle. So what we want to do is put a slider like this one on here. If you notice, same low friction slider, got a matching one on the other side. Really simple design, easy to install. It's just a through bolt that goes through the axle with two nuts on either side. Offers a lot of protection for this lower fork leg, the caliper, rotor, wheel area. Now if we move up on the bike, another vulnerable piece is the controls right here up on the handlebars. So we put a slider right up here. This is going to help protect our levers, the grips, the throttle tubes. All this, when we impact on the ground, is going to allow the vital parts of the bike to be protected so we can pick it back up and keep going down the road. Now if we notice these right here, these are R&G's case covers. We've got the water pump cover right here. We've got the clutch cover right there. I've got a matching one for the alternator on the other side. R&G makes these out of 4mm thick polypropylene. They're really nice and easy to install. You don't need to drain any fluids or take any half of the motor off. All you need to do is pop a couple bolts out, snap this in place, put the longer hardware in. Really easy in installation and less expensive than replacing a whole case or side to the motor. Now if we move back on the bike, you'll take a look here on this exhaust. A lot of people invest hundreds to thousands of dollars for a slip-on exhaust or a full system. And the last thing you want is the bike to go down and get nicked or scratched on that pretty can. So if you notice, R&G has this slider right here. They've got different shapes and profiles to match different shapes and manufacturers of exhaust. Simple clamp-on design, has a high-temperature silicone seal that goes around it to keep heat from being transferred from the can itself to the slider. Now if we move even further back, you notice just like up in the front, we've got sliders back here in the rear. And we've got a few more options than in the front. Depending on the make and the manufacturer, we may be able to go straight through the axle here like we did in the front, or most aftermarket sport bikes come with a threaded hole right in the swing arm, and we can just put this right here, which is a cotton reel, right on there. And it serves two great purposes. The first one, as you see, I've got it up on this maintenance stand right here. I can work on the bike, I can park the bike. If I'm at the track, I can put tire warmers on. It's also going to be a point of impact. Rather than my swing arm taking the slide, or the rotor, or the caliper, that right there is going to hit. Now if you don't have the through axle, or if you don't have the threaded hole right there, another option we can do is this one right here, the offset cotton reel. And what this does is this replaces the axle block, that chain adjuster, with a bracket right here and this same cotton reel from up front, again offering protection as well as function to put the bike up on the stand. So that's our crash protection for the bike. We've got a few miscellaneous items for other protection that we'll talk about next. You're going to want to protect the rear sprocket and chain area, and how you do that is with this toe guard from R&G. If you notice, it's a machined piece of aluminum, attaches to the swing arm, protects the rear sprocket and the chain from anything kicked up off the road, or if you do happen to go down, it can also help keep your feet and toes away from that area. Now if we move to the front of the bike, a place that you definitely want to protect is the radiator. Radiators and oil coolers are very delicate. Those little aluminum fins used for cooling the fluids, anything that's kicked off the road can put a hole in it, bend it, puncture it. R&G has these metal grates right here that are preformed and pre-cut that go right into place and cover your radiator and oil cooler. It's really cheap insurance for a pretty expensive piece of the bike. Now this S1000 is insane looking right out of the box, but there's a few things we want to do to help clean it up further and make it look even better. The most popular being for sport bikes is ditching the stock rear fender. If you notice, this is big, this is ugly. Get rid of it. What we want to do is we want to put on an R&G tail tidy. If you notice, the turn signals, the license plate, as well as the license plate light have all been relocated, moved up, they're cleaner. The lines of this bike flow so much better and really accentuate what the Germans have done to design this. Now another thing we can do if we're not going to be carrying a passenger is ditch these foot pegs right here to further clean up that line and that look. But what that's going to leave us with is two holes right here in the subframe. R&G comes to the rescue again with this machined block-off plate right here. It's a really nice piece of aluminum that goes on the subframe, adds a little bit of trickness, and covers off some empty holes. Now if you notice, or what you don't notice, is that really ugly big swing arm bolt or nut on either side of the frame. R&G has these great block-off plates. What's nice is depending on the make, the manufacturer, and what you're riding, they've got different styles and different looks to cover up that ugly hardware. If we move to the front of the bike, you'll notice I've taken off the stock mirrors. One of the problems with taking off the stock mirrors is it holds the fairing to the fairing stay itself. So this is going to be flapping in the breeze as well as having a big hole right there. R&G steps up, makes this really nice piece right here. It ties in nice with the lines of the bike as well as physically holds the fairing to the fairing stay to keep everything from moving around. So with any sport bike, you want your aerodynamics slipstream to be as low profile as possible. Unfortunately, the stock windscreen just doesn't cut it. So what we have here is the MRA double bubble racing screen. Now MRA is a company that produces racing screens for MotoGP and World Superbike. And if you notice, it's much longer, we've got a much greater curvature, so when we get into our tuck, we're much more aerodynamic. Now if we're riding our sport bikes on the street, we're going to need some sort of storage to hold big and large items. The best thing you can do is a tank bag, and this system from Bags Connection is the original quick lock tank bag. If you notice, it snaps right on into place. I don't have any straps or magnets that I need to fumble with, and nothing's actually touching the paint or chafing it. Whether you're into a bag like this, or something with a little bit more storage, like this larger one, Bags Connection has a lot of options for shapes and styles. Now, over the years, folks have said tank bag just isn't enough storage. They want to add racks, they want to add cases or bags to the back of the bike. And it may not appear, but within a few seconds, we can have this bike set up like that. This is the Bags Connection Blaze Sport Saddlebag system. If you notice down here on the passenger foot peg, we've installed this bracket. Now this is on the bike at all times, and what it does is allows us to connect this mounting rack right here. Just slides and clicks into place. What's unique about this arm is it doesn't allow the bag to sway into the rear tire or move backwards and forwards. Right here on the Blaze bag, we've got this channel cut out specifically for it. So we just slide the bag onto the arm, click it into place, and then run this Velcro strap over the top to connect it to the matching bag on the other side. What's really great about this system is as quickly as that went on, it can come off. So when you need luggage, you have it. And when you don't have to have all that goes with it. Now, if you have any questions regarding this luggage, any of the aesthetic stuff we've done, crash protection, or windscreens, head over to TwistedThrottle.com, answer all your questions for you.